Greetings, good people. What's up? What's happening? My name is Dr. Clarence, and welcome back to TSN Live, where we get to give you all the artists and top trending topics. So it seems Sengezo Tshabangu has been Tshabangud, hit by karma, getting evicted in Mubaiwa there. Now, the Tshabangu faction, the faction we all know for causing infractions and fractionalism in the Triple C. What happened in Mubaiwa? We saw them getting evicted from their offices in Mubaiwa. By who? Douglas Monzora. Yes, Douglas Monzora and his MDC are still existing, and they are back with a bang. Beginning with banging the doors at the MDC offices there in Mubaiwa. Remember, the squabbles of the Harvest House in Harare, right? We all remember why the Triple C failed to use the Harvest House. It was Monzora claiming that Harvest House. Now, one question is, why hadn't they claimed the Mubaiwa offices yet? Were they working with the Tshabangus? And now there might be a fallout. Maybe it may be the case. Speaking of eviction, the late Morgan Tsvangirai's mansion is now the Mutapa Fund headquarters. Yes, it is now the Mutapa Fund headquarters. It is not clear under what circumstances. Remember, in 2023, we had seen Tsvangirai's house being turned into a mansion. Only a year later, it's now the headquarters of the Mutapa Investment Fund. So it is not clear if these guys are giving business to the late Morgan Tsvangirai's wife, or the property has been sold. Remember Chivhayo Auxilia, his latest mansion was once Augustine Chihuri's mansion. And at one point, Chihuri's mansion was on fire. It wasn't a big fire, just a small fire, but at one point, it burned. Now that mansion belongs to Chivhayo. Chivhayo today broke his silence on social media, mentioning that he is in Zimbabwe. In fact, he was at church on Friday. But there was news that Chivhayo was barred from entering where? His father's house, the Zimbabwe State House. Yes, that was the state of the Fair Affairs affair, right? Why? It is said that moms awasikuda kuona Chivhayo. Auxilia Mnangagwa is the one who is said to have barred Chivhayo from the house, from the state house, and this was revealed by the Standard newspaper Zimbabwe. Verification, Standard, you know this story for sure. It's Standard. So, a lot has been happening. Social media on fire. Talking of fire, a tragic incident happened there in Nigeria. We're seeing Pastor Christ Embassy HQ headquarters up in flames. and the entire structure reduced to ash. Ash. So no information has been revealed on what caused the fire. But Pastor Chris himself made a statement saying that I will build even bigger than this. You are saying every trial and tribulation comes for a reason, and we'll get through this. By the grace of God, there were no casualties there, or at least there were no casualties made public. But obviously, as you can see on the screen right there were a lot of people on site there watching as the fire was blazing up at the building. The estranged wife, former wife, ex-wife. Do we call an ex-wife a former wife, or can we call an ex-wife a former wife? Holy Ghost. All right. Mary Mubaiwa. Last week got her leg amputated. Now, she's set to lose another leg because all her legs are supposed to be amputated. Leg amputated. Vice President Constantino Chiwenga's ex-wife, Mary Mubaiwa, has had her leg amputated as her health continues to deteriorate. Mubaiwa had her leg amputated over a week ago after several counseling sessions to comfort her to allow the procedure to go ahead as it could not be saved due to gangrene. She was diagnosed with acute lymphoedema and spontaneous formation of abscesses which caused large open wounds on her arms and legs. Her right arm was amputated in September 2022. Mubaiwa's health has been in the spotlight, with the courts refusing to release her passport to be treated outside the country for her life-threatening ailment. She surrendered her travel document as part of her bail conditions over a slew of charges that she faces, including attempted murder. She is admitted at a private hospital in the capital, Harare. Her lawyer, Beatrice Mtetwa, yesterday said she was devastated when contacted for comments about Mubaiwa's health. There is really nothing to say. It's probably one of the most traumatic cases that I have ever dealt with. We hope that we can find closure on this. Mubaiwa's mother, Helga, said she was in church and could not comment. Later, she opened up on her daughter's ordeal, saying she is surviving through the grace of God as she goes through a very rough patch. Mubaiwa has been unwell for years. Her health troubles have been compounded by local courts that have often insisted on her attending hearings despite clear sight of her ailments. On some occasions, she was brought to court in an ambulance. On one occasion, her trial was postponed after she started throwing up in the dock. The ex-model has been unable to follow the court proceedings as she would sometimes doze off in the dock during her marathon trial on different charges. Mubaiwa is accused of trying to kill Chiwenga when the former military boss was battling for life at a South Africa hospital back in 2009. It is alleged that Mubaiwa forced Chiwenga's security to leave his hospital room so she could find space to remove some life support devices which were connected to the VP. Mubaiwa allegedly forced Chiwenga out of the bed, intending to take him out of hospital, but was stopped by hospital staff. It is alleged that she then disappeared from the hospital. Chiwenga was later flown to China, where he went through what was later described as a successful treatment. In 2022, the High Court ruled that Chiwenga terminated his marriage to Mubaiwa in 2019 by paying traditional token of US $100. High Court Judge Justice Owen Tagu ruled that Chiwenga sent Army Commander Anselm Sanyatwe November 24, 2019 to hand over the money known as Gupuro in Shona to Mubaiwa. Last year, Chiwenga tied the knot with Colonel Miniyotabo Baldoi at St. Gerard Catholic Church in Borodale, Harare. Chiwenga last year, not 2 years ago, we saw her losing an arm or a hand. Now, both legs. Very disturbing. Wakomana yashidiki one of what? Iwora. It's horrific. Hey, it's a very, very sad. Now, with Neo Chivhayo saga, we saw Zimbabwe Electoral Commission issuing a statement that we didn't work with Chivhayo and Ren from South Africa, saying we don't know these 3 guys. In fact, Ren from South Africa didn't say we don't know these 3 guys. They say the 2 guys. But the letter was written in such a way that when one reads the letter, they would assume that Renform has denied any association with Wicknell Chivhayo. They mentioned just 2 guys in the letter that is released by Renform that we see in the public. But naturally, when we see that, we just put them together in a group. So apparently, Renform didn't really deny working with Wicknell Chivhayo. They just said the 2 guys. And then we assumed that it's the 3 guys. Anyways, following that, we then begin to see what? We begin to see images of Wicknell Chivhayo at Renform in South Africa, at Renform offices in SA, with them guys there. Then we see this guy, Nick Donovan, a journalist from the Sentinel, then says, I've talked to Renform, who said they did have a contract with and delivered to Zek. And they described Wicknell Chivhayo as their agent. And yes, they paid him. That is Wicknell Chivhayo that is being talked about here. Now, when we go to Renform's letter, it says, allegations in the media that implicate Zek and Renform. I am writing to further the recent allegations that have surfaced in the Zimbabwe media, which allege procurement irregularities and corrupt practices in terms of various contracts between Zek and Renform during the course of the last year. Renform was contracted to supply the commission with both sensitive and non-sensitive materials for the 2023 elections. Renform, we are outraged by these allegations and would like to set the record straight in terms of the claims made by the 2 gentlemen concerned. So two gentlemen concerned. They don't mention the two gentlemen concerned. Who are the two gentlemen concerned? Were there any claims that were made by certain two gentlemen? Or maybe they're talking about other concerns which only they know, which we may not know. These two gentlemen. They say two gentlemen. Is it Mike the Milk and Moses Simpof? Which one of the two guys? Is it the two guys? Because remember, Wicknell is not referred to as a guy. The two guys, we actually refer to them as the two guys that work with Wicknell. Okay. So, the lesser known are usually referred to as the other guys, the two guys. So, in the letter, these guys, they don't deny knowing Wicknell Chivhayo or working with Wicknell Chivhayo, right? Then they go and say, we confirm we do not know this gentleman and have no relationship whatsoever, no any agreement or of any sort with this gentleman are relating to ZEC or any other matter. Yes, that may be a true factor there. In these circumstances, we take these allegations very seriously. We have already engaged a senior legal team to act on our behalf, and we do not rule out taking appropriate action in Zimbabwe. To defend our name and reputation, we shall, in due course, share the detail of our legal team with you. Now, are these guys suggesting that they want to be suing ZEC the same way we saw Chivhayo suing the Power Company of Zimbabwe? Zimbabwe Power Commission, ZPC, Zimbabwe Power Company. Of course, they may not have acquaintances or links or connections or communication with the two guys. But their guy might be the one having connection with the two guys if the connection exists, right? Anyways, this is a gorilla style connection. This gorilla style connection does not exist anyway on paper. Right? That is the circumstances. Anyway, what times are we living? We are living in days where we have sophisticated criminology, technology, right? And obviously, there should be a way to deal with evasive practices. Because obviously, when there is any malpractice, there is always evasion. However, if one can get away with evasion, then people might as well start evasion. I'm not suggesting what I'm not suggesting. I'm saying what I'm saying is it is Cesar Ziri straight up. Right? As it is Cesar Ziri, no insinuations or assumptions. As it is, we saw this Rainform letter, and a lot of people assumed that Chivhayo is mentioned. It is not mentioned in this letter. Chivhayo is not mentioned anywhere. Okay, ZAC investigating, they can investigate as ZAC anti-corruption. We may not see a straight up prosecution. Who is the complainant? Who is at loss? In what case? Right? What can be suggested is for those guys who make the tender decisions according to the Public Procurement Act, this process actually involves those parliamentary committees we see. kuti kana akapusa vanofana kungwara, because pamwe kungwara kwacho ndiko kuti mari ikawanda chaona kati or kupusa kwekuovercharge zvakadero, right? It's a really sad. Zvinhu zvestate hazvifanira kutengwa nema high prices. Zvinhu zvestate, zvinhu zvenyika, right? It seems now every tender is now a foothold for somebody to render their pockets full. It is very, very disturbing. Now, as we prepare for the Sadak summit, we are seeing ED banging. Causing a stir on social media with this branded bus. We see him first there. 44th Sadak Summit. HEED Mnangagwa, incoming chairman. Branded bus there. I'm going to leave this one for you to comment on in the comment section below. With that, I'm going to sign out. Enough respect to everybody who was watching us live right about now. Dr. Clarence, TV7 Live. As always, thank you for watching. I'm out. Yeah. Fire.